You have found what lights you up. I'm your host, Sunny the Life Coach, and I'm here because I see you searching for something or someone out there to help you feel better. Something to take away the pain that you're feeling, the inadequacies. I know all of the things that happen in life can leave you feeling empty. Your search is over. This podcast is all about finding your own freedom and power to love yourself enough to shine in the ways you were always meant to, the ways in which you are already fully capable of. If you're ready for some real talk, some serious truth bombs, and a few F-bombs, you are in the right place. Let's do this. Let's get lit. Hey there, welcome. Thank you for being with me today. It's just me. Sunny is solo. You have me all to yourself. Aren't you the lucky one? I'm going to keep this episode brief because I can't even begin to express what a week it has been. Not one thing, lots of small things. They do tend to pile up, don't they? All of those little things. For example, shortly after I get this recorded, I'm going to have to head to school and see if my kid is going to be released from detention in time to make his band event, or if he's going to have to change in the car on the way there. That event is going to run from like 5:30 to 8:30. Ridiculous. It's band night at the football field. I'm just going to send my gratitude in advance that we will have another perfect evening in the 60s while I am sitting in the stands for hours. Yes, please. I'm over the heat. I wasn't built for this. I melt. I have been having conversations with friends and colleagues recently about the concept of toxic positivity and even whether feeling better can be a goal. In fact, toxic positivity as a concept has been presented to me in several ways this week, so I want to incorporate it into this conversation just a little bit. I've had some healthy debates on those matters, actually, so I'm going to take just a few moments to address some of that here with you today, because one of these things is kind of my brand, isn't it? I say it in the very intro to this podcast. I know you want to feel better. I know that because I did. I'm going to break down what I actually mean by that. Some find it confusing and relate it to toxic positivity, and that's not at all what I mean by feeling better. Before I go further, let's address toxic positivity as a term. It seems to be a conflict, right? How can positivity be toxic? Well, someone somewhere in our current pop culture made up this term, and it's become a suitable label to throw around freely on social media to describe the behaviors of other people. In fact, as I was pulling together the outline for this topic, I took a break and listened to Sahara Rose's latest podcast that was all about it. I wasn't even expecting that to be the topic. I was just like, oh, hey, I haven't listened to this podcast in a few weeks, and bam, it was another one of those downloads from the universe. Hello, this conversation keeps coming up. And how Sahara described it was that Western culture is obsessed with clinical terms to describe people and create labels, judgment, separation, and division. Really important to keep in mind as I speak to this. So one of the debates I had with other coaches in a private space on social last week came about when I posed a question. I had seen some comments on another thread in that group that feeling better can't be a goal. It's more of a byproduct of some greater goal, if you will. It is not in itself the goal if you are coming from a coaching perspective and not a therapist. And it really did challenge me. okay, because my brain doesn't work that way. Now, I started a new thread in the spirit of having a healthy debate and really bringing that question up to the surface. Can feeling better be a goal? That's it. That's all you want from life, to feel better. Of course, that's going to look different for each of us depending on the life events we might be juggling at any given time. There is certainly enough of that to go around, and especially in our current state of the world. What does feeling better look like? I was grateful that I posed the question because it helped me to see that, well, we all have different opinions on the matter, don't we? One of the respondents said it reminded her of toxic positivity. Ooh, see, that is not at all what comes to my mind. But I get how someone could make that correlation. Listen, toxic positivity as a concept, not a fan. Surely you know this if you know me at all or have been listening to this podcast for a bit. I am all about the contrast. I am all about knowing that we are going to encounter hard times and we're going to struggle with our emotions that arise. Toxic positivity is very much about just think happy thoughts and everything will be awesome, among other things. Look it up. And while it is true that you can guide your conscious thoughts by questioning whether or not they are the actual truth or whether that's just your subconscious conditioning coming into play, it is not the be-all, end-all. Like my friend Kim said in the last episode, if you've had a chance to catch that one, it's more than mindset. We have a whole nervous system to consider. Everything is connected. There is for sure a connection between your thoughts and feelings and actions. Absolutely. I don't disagree with that. But when you are working through some heavy shit and those emotions come flooding in and you end up stuffing them down because you just have to get through your day, that is avoidance. That is not getting to the root of your problems. So there's actually a lot of nuance behind the terminology that I use when I say feel better. What I have really been focusing on lately is saying feel better than fine, good, or okay, because those are the words that we tend to use the most. Those are the go-to phrases when someone asks, how are you? Now, I've said this before a lot of times. When we use those generic terms to describe how we are, what we're really doing is just glossing over a polite question. Do we really want to unload all of our issues on the cashier or the coworker or the next door neighbor standing in front of us? No, not really. It's just polite surface level conversation. The thing is, at least this is what I've noticed about myself, when we say this enough times to other people, we just might start believing it ourselves. And I don't really want to be fine, good, or okay, to be honest. I want to feel all the feelings. I want to have deep and rich experiences in this life. Sometimes that does not equal high vibes and happy thoughts. It can't, not always. It isn't possible, and we don't want it to be. We need to feel grief when a loved one dies. We don't want to try to look on the bright side of death, even if we believe the soul never dies, even if. We want to feel that outrage when we see another human being mistreated or abused, or an animal, any living thing really, for me personally. We want to feel that if it aligns with our values that all living beings are precious. We sometimes feel depressed or lonely or misunderstood. We do. If we are honest with ourselves about it and not trying to cover it up with thinking happy thoughts. This doesn't mean that we wallow in our negative emotions. I think that's where thought work has helped me the most. It's given me an outlet and a new ways to think about an event, something that's happened, or something someone has said to me or about me. It's given me a new approach for that other than ruminating on it for hours, days, or weeks on end and further sending me down that spiral. It gives me an opportunity to question, what is this teaching me? How could this be happening for me? Is it true that I'm a total loser? Or is that just a ridiculous lie that I've told myself so many times that it's embedded in my subconscious as a belief? That is where thought work is so very helpful. That is what I mean by feeling better. Well, one of the things. Again, there's so much nuance to that simple phrase. Let's get back to those low vibe emotions for just a minute. When you find yourself in a place and you truly are feeling your feelings, you're actually being attentive to them, and then you're processing them by asking those questions. Then you can reach for the next best feeling. Let's take rage, for example. You know what's better than rage? Anger. I know it sounds crazy because we tend to think of them as the same thing, but they are actually different vibrations in your body. And there is an emotional guidance scale incorporated into the teachings of Abraham Hicks of Law of Attraction. And on a scale of 22 emotions, from highest vibe to lowest, rage is number 19, and anger is number 17. And what's in between those two? Revenge. It's so interesting to think about it that way, though. This isn't the way we are accustomed to approaching our emotions. If it's quote unquote bad or negative or low vibe, we want to move quickly away from it, all the way to the top of that scale to feel good, right? Hello, toxic positivity. No, just see if you can reach for the next level up. Can you move from rage straight up to the top, which is joy and love? Not likely. But can you transition from rage to anger? Probably so. But first process that rage and don't shame yourself for feeling it. Hell, don't skip revenge if that's what you're feeling too. Acknowledge it. We shame ourselves way too much for our feelings when it's actually the greatest part of being human. It really is. It can be. So yeah, when I say feel better, sometimes I mean acknowledging your rage and raising it up to anger. Learn to feel your feelings better than you ever have before. And back to the thread I started about this topic, the shit I stirred up. I did ask for it. I got some great feedback, and I really appreciated it. One of the other challenges that I got was, I don't believe you just wanted to feel better. That was in response to me saying, that's all that I ever wanted. No, I don't believe that. There had to be something else. No, I really and truly wanted to not go through my daily life feeling like I was broken. And this can actually crack open a conversation between therapy and coaching, but quite honestly, there are a lot of great podcasts already out there where people have had brilliant approaches to making the distinction. So for the sake of this particular episode, I'm going to keep it to the mental health and emotional well-being to distinguish those two. Let's just keep it simple and stay there. Mental health, yes, that is for the therapist. Emotional well-being for high-functioning humans who simply don't have an awareness of an entirely different way to view the world. That can totally be obtained through good, solid coaching. And as I reflect on this, I'm actually coming to terms with the realization that all of those years I was treated for mental health didn't get me very far, because what I really needed was to gain an understanding of how to attain emotional well-being. I needed to learn the things I'd never been taught. I needed to learn how to be with myself, and it's no one's fault. We know what we know. We do the best we can with what we know at the time. So all of the adults in my life who told me how to act, what mask to wear so that other people would be happy with me, so I could please them, and in turn maybe they would love me, so I could get the good grades and win the awards, get the promotions, all of the things. The ones who told me when I was unraveling that I needed mental health support were well-meaning, kind, wonderful humans. That's what they knew. That's not what I personally needed. That's why I was stuck in the cycle for many years, not necessarily making a whole lot of improvement. What I needed to know was about mindset, thought work, meditation, yoga, mindfulness, breath work, tapping, self-healing modalities. Those are the practices that I found along the way that really speak to me on a soul level about how to exist in this world and not be fucking miserable in the process. Not how to feel good and happy all of the time, but just to feel better. Because I think when we feel better, we just function better. I appreciate the argument that feeling better is simply a byproduct to a greater goal. But what if the opposite could also be true? What if the opposite way is how I function in my own uniqueness? What if, okay, I'm blowing my own mind right now, what if through feeling better, I am empowering myself to take on those greater goals? What if they can run in tandem even? I don't know, seems legit. But I also get that it's hard to plot out and create a project plan around. That's where the creativity comes in to override logic now, doesn't it? That's what it does in my brain. Creativity overrides logic. I'm going to share a little something that might shock you, because I used to make a pretty good living at being a project manager, and I never cared for project plans. Necessary evils, and the logical brains want to see the timelines and milestones, but I've always been more of a let's get shit done person. I can spend time putting together your plans, or I can make it happen. I can make it happen a lot quicker if I don't have to plot it out, print 17 copies, and pull together a PowerPoint. Might be a little messy, but I'm going to focus on the humans involved, get them engaged in doing their thing, and it's going to get done. I'm having some flashbacks right now. All of this comes back to learning to stand in the power of your own uniqueness. And it also comes with the understanding that emotions are temporary. They do not equal your state of mind or your state of being. And I didn't come to this realization until a few years ago, when I was really afforded the gift of being able to spend some quality time focusing on this work. This journey of self-awareness and healing that was born from having my position eliminated in a reorg. That was the gift. Feeling better also means feeling better. I alluded to that just a moment ago. Not even reaching for the next best feeling emotion until you have fully processed the one that you are having right now in this moment. Fully feeling into that emotion, acknowledging it, finding where it shows up in your body, naming it, leaning into it, and then allowing it to move on. I had a very powerful experience of being coached a couple of weeks ago, and I don't even recall what the emotion was at the time. I think it was hopelessness. And my coach guided me to explore my body, and I recognized that my throat just tightened, and I felt like this lump was sitting heavy in my throat. It felt like a rock was lodged there. It didn't budge for like a full minute. And then it did. It just dissipated. After I named it, acknowledged it, recognized it for what it was, and then I just burst into tears. Because I needed to. That was part of the release. I needed to stop trying to control that, hold back, not have an ugly cry on a Zoom session. And in dancing around that emotion that really just wanted me to be present, I was in effect keeping it around longer. That's what happens. They're just visiting. Those that we refer to as low vibe or bad, we don't want them to stay with us. So we push back, avoid, resist, cover up by trying to think happy thoughts. All they need is to be seen. They're a part of you. Don't you want to be seen? I think we all do. And I think we sometimes become afraid of what other people will think of us if we show ourselves in a very vulnerable way. We've become conditioned that what other people think matters most of all. And our greatest fear is of being judged by another. Let them judge you. I had to do that with my coach on that session. I had to surrender to my feelings in that moment so that I could have a better experience of truly allowing myself to be with them. Sometimes we need guides to support us through that, and I am so grateful to have access to amazing friends who I trust and know that they will hold space without judgment. And if ever they do, if ever one of them gets off a call with me and says, "Damn, Sunny was a hot mess today," that's okay. They're allowed to think of me any way they want to. So are the people who responded to my question. I seriously got some valuable input by just putting it out there and saying, you know what? These are my thoughts. These are my opinions on the matter. I personally don't see anything wrong with my approach. What say you? Here I am, putting myself in the arena. Go for it. Have at it. It was actually a very productive thread. A lot of things were brought to light for my consideration, and I truly appreciated it. And in the end, I decided that I still love the idea of feeling better being a goal, especially now. Maybe now, with everything we are dealing with as a collective, this is the perfect time to consider that feeling better is a worthy goal to strive for, where seeing how to exist and experience life in a whole different way could be so beneficial, where even if people don't agree with you and you don't feel understood or validated, it's not even a problem because it never was. That reminds me, I saw this meme the other day that said, I've got 99 problems and 86 of them are completely made up scenarios in my head that I'm stressing about for absolutely no logical reason. Yeah. Let me recap all of the nuances around what I mean when I say that I help people feel better. I think it would help to tie it all back. So here's what I mean. First of all, number one, I want you to start identifying the actual emotion you are feeling without covering it up with fine, good, or okay. I am actually envisioning a CBT chart from group therapy now, where we had to pick an emotion that described where we were in that moment that was not any of those things. Those emotions were not allowed on the poster. That's kind of lodged in my brain over the years. Number 2, I want you to have awareness that you can reach for the next best feeling, the next highest vibration on the scale without trying to force yourself all the way to the top. And certainly not thinking that anything is wrong with you if you can't bring yourself to plaster a fake smile on your face in any given moment. And number 3, I mean that before you even do that, you need to learn how to feel in a better way than you ever have. Acknowledging what it is without shaming yourself or trying to hide it or fix it. You need to feel in order to heal. You need to learn to feel your feelings in a better way. Now, I don't know about you, but I happen to think those things need our attention right now. Now, is all of this going to present itself no matter what your goal is? Yes, it will. Whether you want to lose weight, cut back on drinking, make more money, get organized, improve your relationships, reduce your stress over what other people think, yes, all of this will come up. So you can have your goals, any of these goals, and you can also have the goal of, I just want to feel better. I'm here for all of it. That's what I do. I promise you, I know all about having the goal of feeling better. All of your goals are valid and worthy of pursuing. I'm putting my stake in the ground on that matter because I never said that feeling better meant always being happy. You are free to assign any label to me that you wish. You can decide I really am about toxic positivity. That's your right. You can think whatever you want to. Because, as Rumi says, the soul has been given its own ears to hear things mind does not understand. Yeah. We think our brains are the smartest parts of us, and really, they are so very not. They've been strategically programmed over our lifetimes to hold beliefs that don't always make sense and don't always serve our highest or greatest purpose in this life. Remember, we are eternal spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. Sometimes you have to tell that beautiful mind of yours to shut the hell up and allow the rest of your body a moment to send the signals of where some attention is needed. Right? Right. If you're looking for someone to hold space for you while you sort out your feelings, I am always honored to be your guide, and I can assure you from personal experience that it is very powerful. Yes, I get myself coached too. It's so important to turn over the role of guide to someone else on a regular basis. It really is. Check my links in the show notes to schedule a session with me. It is always an honor to have a conversation. And also, I think just peeling back the layers this week has been a valuable exercise for me and has me considering other ways to have these conversations in the very near future, like actual two-way conversations, not just me doing all of the talking. Stay tuned. My gears are turning. Yes, I'm in my mind in this moment. My gears are turning with all of the ways that I can help you light up and shine on.